morning, Rowan. It is time to start a new project. I hope you had a great time making your symmetrical monsters and doing that out of paper collage. We are going to be learning about a new kind of art this week and next week. We're going to do a two-part project, and we're going to spend a little bit learning about what we call op art. And then we are going to make our own op art, or creating what we call an optical illusion. So you can see I've got one of those here, and this is the project that we're going to be working on. So before we get started on that project, we're going to learn a little bit about optical illusions, and then the supplies that you will need for your project are: today, this is part one of two parts. You're going to need the white sheet of paper that I gave you. You're going to need an eraser, a pencil, a fine point Sharpie marker. You just need one. You don't need the extra fine. And then you're going to need a straight edge or a ruler. You can see that I have, it's a ruler, but it also is a triangle. You just need a regular ruler, and that will be perfect. So let's go ahead and learn a little bit about what optical illusion is, or op art. Before we get started creating our really fun design, I want to talk to you a little bit about op art, or optical illusions. Now, op art is a kind of art that plays tricks on your eyes. It is called an optical illusion. It's artwork that tricks your eyes into thinking that an object is doing something out of the ordinary, something extraordinary. So the examples that I have in front of you right now are by an artist called M.C. Escher. He was famous for his optical illusions, and he makes two-dimensional surfaces, so a drawing, look as if it's three-dimensional. Now, we did some of this with our landscape drawings, but you can see in these pencil drawings of his that he uses the positive and negative space to be different things. And so you're not certain if you are looking at birds or fish, right? In our example off on that far left corner. Or how does he have a drawing of a hand drawing a hand? That's an optical illusion. He liked to play with perspective. You can see that with his stares, but he changes it around and does all sorts of things that don't look like they do in reality. And his self-portrait on the right, his hand is holding a mirror ball, and you can see a portrait of himself in it. And you get this reflection which looks three-dimensional. It's an optical illusion. So op art was an art form that basically started in the 1960s, and M.C. Escher is a famous artist for doing that style, but Bridget Riley is another famous op artist. And you can see this spiral that's swirling down, and you can also see the lines that seem to wave and look misty. Those are both optical illusions, where she uses different color tones and movement to create a sense as if these lines are moving. In fact, sometimes it feels strange to stare at them too much, because they do appear as if they are moving. And that was what she was most famous for creating. Now, these examples of student art are a little bit closer to what we are going to be doing today. We are going to be creating our own optical illusion, or op art, by creating a project like this student one, where the hand seems to appear within the horizontal lines that are going across the paper. But we won't be coloring in the hand. We will just be curving our lines to make that happen. And you can see that here with this student drawing in her own hand, just using horizontal lines. You can do this in a more complex way, but we'll be doing it to start with in a simple way. It should be lots of fun. All right, Rowan, to get started with our optical illusion, we are going to get our large sheet of paper out, and we are going to start with our pencil. The first thing that we want to do is to place our left hand, or whichever hand you don't write with. So I write with my right hand. So I'm putting my left hand on the paper, and I'm going to take my pencil and I am going to trace my arm and around all of my fingers. My hand is a little bit spread out so that it is, and I'm going to even trace around my sleeve and go all the way down. My fingers were kind of spread out so you can see the difference, the space in between them. So make sure when you put your hand down that you make sure you can get around all of your fingers. I want you to see what that looks like. So at the very edge of my paper, I have my sleeve, and you can see my whole hand. This is going to be the guideline for our drawing, like the student examples that we saw. And to make it, to have this be easier for us to do, we're going to go ahead and start at the bottom of our sheet of paper, and we are just going to make rounded, curved lines. So I'm going to go up and I'm just rounding that line, and I'm just going to keep doing that. And we're going to have those separated. If I measure this, Rowan, it is less than an inch. It's about 3/4 of an inch. You are probably like, I don't know how to measure 3/4 of an inch, or maybe you do, but we don't, it doesn't have to be perfect. That's about as thick as my finger. So you could take your thumb or your finger and you can kind of mark it so you know how far to make your lines apart if you want to do that. And we're just going to round them. And this goes all the way back to the beginning of our time together, our lessons where we would talk about all different kinds of lines. And these are our curved lines. And it's basically, we're just making this wonderful pattern where we are curving our lines. Now this is going to be the edge of my shirt there. And now I have my hand. So my shirt was wider, and my actual hand, I am only doing by the wrist as we go up on here onto the palm of the hand. I'm going all the way across. Now you can see here I'm getting close to where the thumb is, so I'll get one more curved line in. And now I have my thumb here, so I'm going to do that separate, okay? And we're going to have that thumb. Now I'm going to do a line that's that goes about, it would look like it would connect to that one. And that fit across where the fingers are. And I've got this one here. I'm going to do one more, and that's like that would connect there. So we're going to leave our fingers for a few minutes, and we've got just our major parts that are the same. The line goes all the way across. So we're going to start down here, and now we're going to get out our ruler. And we are going to go to the edge of this line here, and we're just going to draw a straight line across our paper. Go to this other part of it and draw a line there, and we're going to go ahead and we're just going to kind of keep doing that. And you can see that got a little close, and that's okay. And we'll go up and we'll do this one, and then we're going to connect it on this side And so you can see, look at this one's wider here, this one's narrower here. I could fix that if I wanted. If I didn't want it so close, I could do that and then go in and erase. That's something you could do. It didn't really bother me, so I'm not very worried about that. This line here, I've got on this side, it's gonna kind of curve off here, so it doesn't really matter. But you can begin to see how my arm kind of bubbles up, and then the rest of the lines make it look more flat. So I'm just going to, and you can go up one side to follow those lines. Nothing has to be perfectly, you know, perfectly divided up. This is just, I like the ruler because it just helps you get those lines in, and so you feel like it's more even. But they don't have to be perfectly the same distance apart. So, but I'm just connecting it. I'm always connecting it with one of the lines I drew across my arm. That really is the key, Ron. Is just connecting, making sure that you connect it. You just keep going back and forth. So I've got all of the lines all the way from my sleeve and my arm on here. Now we're going to start and go about and do that on the lines for our hands. So that one's a little closer. This one's going to be a little wider because it curves down. So just remember, you always want your straight line to connect with your curved one. Like that. And I can get all the way up to this one. We'll stop here. Now I'm going to just draw. I'm just drawing a line to connect from the hand to the thumb. I'm not using my ruler. And I'm going to go here. So you can see those lines. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to draw it to connect it. And I'm going to do that. So this line connects to here, and that way we'll know how many new lines to add. So we'll do that like that. That means this is going to curve, and we'll do one over here. Okay, I want you to take a moment to check your drawing. This is the main part that's going to get a little more complicated. So if you need to stretch out your hands, take a little break, go get a drink of water, and then we're going to go ahead and do the part that's a little harder. So we've got our line that we did over the thumb, and then we connected it here to the hand, and this is going to be our first line on that finger. And then we'll do a straight line here to connect it, and then we're going to do another curved one, because these are the lines that are going over the fingers. And then you would do a straight one in between, another curved one, a straight one in between, curved, and then now we have a line to do across our paper like that. So we've got another one here for the thumb. So we're going to go curve, straight, curve, straight, curve, straight, curve. So you can see the bumps from the hand, and then we do a line that takes us across the paper. So we're going to go up, and we're going to keep doing it on the finger, and then we'll do it on both sides. So I'm going to do another curved one, straight. So now I've got a line to go across here, and one to go across here. So we're going to have this kind of this big space between, but that's okay. If you don't like how straight that is, you can also, I could make it do that if I wanted to. So I haven't decided what I would prefer. So we're going to do this again. We're going to curve it. I'm going to have that come down and get one more on the pinky. This is such a big one. But I think I'm going to make it do that. Okay. We'll bring it across. Bring this one across. I'm going to do one extra line here that will go over that little tip. And then we're just going to keep adding our line, but this time I'm just going to go straight across. Now, if this is hard, I think actually I'll do one more like I did here. I'll do that curved, and I'll just do one more. Fill in a little extra. If it's hard to reach, you can flip it over and do your lines this way. There we have it. This is the beginning of our drawing. I'm looking here and this looks, I don't know if I like how that one curves over here, so I think I'm going to have this go here. And I'm going to bring this line out to there. That was just looking a little funny. Which means if I add that, I'm going to break this up here, because we'll add it to all the sides and make it go all the way across. So if you have any weird spots where you think, oh, I think I want to add that line, this would be the time when you could do that. So there is the beginning of our optical illusion art. The next thing that we need to do is we need to use our black Sharpie markers, and we're not going to trace the lines where our hand outline was. We're just going to trace all of our lines that go across the paper. I'm going to start again at the bottom. Now, we're using our black Sharpies. So you can see it didn't come through, but sometimes they do. If you need, you can put any kind of paper, magazine, newspaper, extra scrap paper underneath. I have a black sheet. I'm just putting it underneath to protect my, my paper. Now you can see I'm not doing these lines. I'm just doing the horizontal lines that go across the paper from side to side. Marker is starting to get a little bit dried out, so I'm going to switch over and see if this one is better. But again, you can see I haven't done these lines, but I'm just doing the horizontal lines. That marker is in much better condition. you can see how without drawing the hand, just putting in curved lines and straight lines, we start to see what looks like a hand in our lines. Oh, I think this is so fun. I hope you're having fun, Ron. I just love seeing how these lines make our hand appear. I'm going to flip my paper over because it's a little bit easier. There, this is what it looks like colored in with just the black lines. The last thing that we want to do today is to go in and erase any of our pencil lines that are left behind, that you didn't trace over all the way. And that also means you're going to be getting rid of kind of that outline that we drew in for our hand. Once you have all of the erasing done, I like to tap my paper. I get out just a paintbrush and I brush off all that extra stuff. And we are left with a hand on a paper that we only have drawn on with our horizontal lines, our lines that go across. I hope you've had a lot of fun, Rowan, beginning to play with the idea of optical illusions. We're going to finish this project next week. So I want you to think about some different color combinations that you like, and we are going to save this and add the color next week. So post what you've done so far on Seesaw, and I really look forward to seeing your work. Have a great week.